Today on the CTV News at 5, a delay in sentencing in a Lethbridge double homicide. Plus, more charges laid in a counterfeit cash scam. And a Hurricanes defenseman is back on the ice after being unexpectedly sidelined by a heart condition.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. The sentencing has been delayed for a Lethbridge man who's charged with killing two men in a North Lethbridge park last May. 28-year-old Cody Blue Faval pleaded guilty in November to 2 counts of manslaughter. He admitted to stabbing 30-year-old Aaron Thacker multiple times and 35-year-old Marty Steele once in a drug deal gone bad. Faval then stole Thacker's wallet containing $200. Sentencing had been scheduled for today, but the pre-sentence report hasn't been completed. Court was told the probation officer has been unable to get in touch with some contacts. The sentencing has been set over until February 28th. It looks like a Lethbridge man who admitted to stealing over $100,000 worth of jewelry from a downtown store to pay off a gambling debt will spend some time behind bars after all. Juan Calero Perez worked as a sales clerk at the Charm Diamond Center at Park Place Shopping Mall from December of 2010 to January 2011. During that time, it's estimated he stole $116,000 worth of rings, necklaces, and diamonds. Some of the jewelry was recovered from a local pawn shop, but $49,000 was never recouped. Calero Perez was originally sentenced to 2 years less a day of house arrest and paying restitution. However, the Alberta Court of Appeal has now ordered him to serve a year in jail. The court ruled the original judge failed to take into account the amount of planning put into the thefts and put too much emphasis on rehabilitation. And 2 people facing counterfeiting charges in Lethbridge are facing even more charges after bogus bills were passed in Canmore, Strathmore, and the Crow's Nest Pass. 34-year-old Terry LaRoe of Lethbridge and 37-year-old Gregory Dempsey of Calgary were charged last month after regional police uncovered $15,000 in fake American cash. Both have been charged with possessing counterfeit money and possessing materials used for counterfeiting. A further investigation has now linked them to more phony bills being passed in other areas. Both remain in custody and await another court appearance on January the 10th. An 18-year-old Medicine Hat man accused of making threats about a high school on Facebook has been ordered to undergo a psychiatric assessment. Today, in a Medicine Hat courtroom, a judge ruled that John Clapman must complete a 30-day session at the Southern Alberta Psychiatric Centre in Calgary. He'll return to court on January the 31st on charges that include uttering threats and publishing obscene material. Clapham was arrested on Boxing Day after he allegedly posted threats against a Medicine Hat school and made comments referencing the December 14th shooting at Sandy Hook School that killed 20 children. A 30-year-old Tabor man will be back in court tomorrow to answer to a string of charges dating back to mid-December. Police say that Renko Zinstra was driving the wrong way on Highway 3 back on December 15th in a stolen vehicle, forcing another car to the side of the road and then continued his joyride in the westbound lanes. The car eventually lost control and came to a rest in the northbound lanes of Highway 25. Officers say that he made his escape on foot, but they later tracked him to a North Lethbridge home. He's been remanded in custody and will appear in court tomorrow. City police charged 7 people with impaired driving and handed out another 5 24-hour suspensions during this year's holiday check stop campaign in Lethbridge.
Check stop, how you doing tonight? Good. Any alcohol in the vehicle? Do you anything to drink tonight? No. Do you have your driver's license?
Police released the results of their campaign that ran from the beginning of December to New Year's Day. And during that time, police laid nearly 250 charges. In addition to the drinking and driving charges, police also stopped 7 suspended drivers and 37 unlicensed drivers. Another 30 vehicles were unregistered and 7 were uninsured.
Have a safe night. Yeah, you too. Take care.
Hundreds of motorists who filled up at a Calgary gas station are making an unexpected stop at the mechanic because of a gas mix-up. Instead of regular gasoline, drivers were unknowingly pumping diesel fuel into their vehicle engines.
The car started fine. It actually started fine. The battery was fine, but it wouldn't stay running. And I had to keep trying to rev it up to keep it going.
Colin Pratt and his wife were getting ready for a lengthy road trip to Vancouver on December 27th. Pratt filled up his Volvo at the Co-op gas bar, McLeod Trail South, on the 26th. That was the same day the fuel supplier mistakenly filled a regular gas storage tank with diesel. By the time the error was caught, more than 500 motorists had filled up. Most of them have been contacted, and Co-op is taking full responsibility, covering repair costs, providing car rentals, even tow charges. If left untreated, diesel in a gas tank can lead to engine troubles. The final price tag for damage and repairs hasn't been tallied, but it is expected to be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay, Dory Rossiter, we've got some great temperatures over the next few days, but there is a chance of some precipitation coming on Sunday, but that'll be showers, not snow.
Yeah, it's nothing to shovel. I mean, with temperatures like what we are experiencing now, our daytime high was supposed to be 4 degrees today. That's what the ballpark estimate was. We got to 8 degrees at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Calgary hit 8 degrees at 3 a.m. this morning. There's a lot of warm air out there. So yeah, the precip will be showers, not flurries. And I'll tell you all about it in a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Dory. More weather coming up. The city of Lethbridge has hired an engineering firm to inspect the downtown atrium property and determine what exactly it will cost to demolish the structure and clean up the site. The owners of the property failed to meet a January 2nd deadline to tear down the 3-story concrete shell. The original developer abandoned the project 30 years ago. Since then, other plans for the site have also fallen through. Mayor Rayko Dodic says he'd like to see the structure demolished, but the first step is to have engineers inspect the structure and determine what it will cost the city.
I cannot speak for the present owners as to why they didn't complete the project that they had started on and got a development permit for. But you know, if I'm speculating, probably the costs exceeded the value of what they expected to make from it once the structure was completed, and that's what brings us to this date. Where, like I said, engineers are going to go out, they're going to have a look at it, they're going to report to us as to the estimated cost of demolition, and we'll go from there. And we've asked them to do that as quickly as possible.
Mayor Dodic says a report will be presented to City Council on Monday, but he doesn't expect answers that soon. And construction on the new Community Arts Center in Lethbridge is moving right along. All that seems to be missing is a name. The city has received more than 80 submissions so far. The naming committee hopes to have a recommendation by the end of January. Well, it's the end of an era in Kimberley, BC. One of the community's most notable events will not take place in 2013. After 39 years of tradition, the Kimberley International Old Time Accordion Championships have come to an end. Organizers say costs have been going up and revenues have been dropping. Another problem is that some of the big entertainers that the event was hoping to attract this summer were unable to attend. The executive committee decided to go out on a high note instead of trying to put together one last championship. Over the past 39 years, the event doled out over $160,000 in bursaries and $240,000 in prize money. Well, starting next month, the penny will be phased out. Now there are calls to do the same thing with the nickel, but does that make any sense? Scott Lightfoot takes a look.
First, they dropped the penny. Now it may be the nickel. A former economist with the Bank of Canada says the 5-cent coin is fast becoming obsolete, should be next in line to be scrapped.
I don't want as much change anymore, and then I can just get rid of a nickel.
Oh yeah, they got rid of the penny, right? So I mean, it doesn't really matter. If you round it up to 10 cents, it's...
People on the street who didn't even stop to pick up this lowly nickel didn't seem to mind the idea of saying goodbye to the beaver altogether. In fact, many didn't even know if they were carrying one on them.
Quarter, and 3 dimes, a toonie, and a loonie.
Do you ever use it?
Clearly not.
Well, sometimes maybe. You know, if you need 5 cents.
For what?
I don't know.
5 cents for what? Yeah, I used it yesterday.
What do you use a nickel for?
I bought donuts at Tim Hortons.
The Mint has already announced that it will retire the 1-cent coin next month. Some 6 billion pennies are expected to be melted down and recycled starting February 4th. But if it disappeared, would anyone miss the nickel?
I don't really use nickels.
You wouldn't miss it?
Not at all.
But the problem is too many Canadians are holding on to the nickel, hoarding them in fact, to the point where the Mint had to make 230 million of these last year just to keep them in circulation.
They kind of end up in your pocket somehow, right? Spending cash and all that. But
save them or spend them?
I'd spend them. I'm not going to collect them or anything like that. I don't think I'd really miss them if they were gone, but...
No word on what might happen to Sudbury's most famous monument, but it could one day be a monument to a thing of the past.
Scott Lightfoot, CTV News, Toronto.
And speaking of money, the dollar held steady today on the markets. Here's the closing number.